to the brand new Era's Fantasy Football. This is the second attempt, though. So I tried a couple days ago, got into the second quarter, and then it failed on me. So we're back again. It's the North Dallas. Oh, my goodness. A fumble on the opening kickoff by the North Dallas Bulls, and the Fury Warriors will take over with great field possession. Steve Young, play-action pass, still looking. Fires into the end zone. That's complete. If you're wondering why Steve Young just threw to Davante Adams, that is the great segue. Look at that non-spiral duck by Steve Young. But that is the segue into what we're doing here. So Era's Football, let me try to explain it to you as quickly as I can. Basically, what we have is there's a group of 10 guys got together, drafted a football team. By drafted, I mean 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 kicker positions, 2 defenses. And that is, like a normal fantasy draft. But what's not normal is this is over a span of historical years and not just 1 year, as you saw Steve Young through the Davante Adams. So the rules are that it's 5 years, specific years, 1922, 1947, 1972, 1997, and 2022. And the other rule is not only do you have to pick guys from those, but you need to pick 3 from each. So the Fury Warriors have the ball. Their quarterback is Steve Young from 97. You've already seen him throw to Davante Adams from 2022. And there's a handoff to O.J. Simpson, of course, from 1972. So there's 3 different eras all in the starting lineup for the Fury Warriors. Just to kind of go through the roster for you in case you're going to follow along and, have a favorite team, let's say. The Fury Warriors wearing Giant uniforms. Play action pass. Steve Young rolls out. Fires wide open. Touchdown. What a great play call. And that was Jim Benton, in the end zone, the second tight end for this team. So let's go through the roster of the team that just scored there. Starting today at quarterback, Steve Young. Their other quarterbacks are Justin Herbert and Patty Driscoll. Patty Driscoll, of course, from 1922. I guess just in case you don't know, Steve Young from the 97 season and Justin Herbert from 2022. Number 1 running back, O.J. Simpson. So for quarterbacks, well, we'll get to that later. So the running back situation is this: O.J. Simpson from 1972, Steve Locke from 1947, and Wookie Roberts from 1922. Receivers: Cliff Branch from the 72 season, Davante Adams, who you saw from 2022, and Pete Pihos from 47. Travis Kelce is the tight end from 2022, and Jim Benton, the man that scored the touchdown from 1947. Kicker is Richie Cunningham. The second kicker / punter is going to be Benny Boynton, and their defense is loaded up with the 1972 Miami Dolphins defense and the 1997 San Francisco 49ers defense. Okay, so now the North Dallas Bulls. Now that they fumbled the opening kickoff, but Fritz Pollard, who you saw there, not fumbling the second kickoff, they will finally get to play. And their quarterback, their number 1 quarterback, is Jeff George, followed by Otto Graham and Dan Marino. Now let's talk about those names for a second. You heard me right. The order is number 1, Jeff George. Number 2, Otto Graham. Number 3, Dan Marino. Look at that move by Mercury Morris. He might be gone across 50, inside the 20, 10, 5, touchdown. Just like that, this game's even. Mercury Morris doesn't even let me get to him. So real quick, the running backs, Mercury Morris, just a stud right there with a huge run for a touchdown. He's from the 72 Dolphins. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from the 1997 Dolphins. So you wonder why they're in cowboy gear when they have all these Dolphins on the team. Dan Marino, Mercury Morris, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But that is what it is. The favorite team of the guy that drafted this team is the Cowboys. Therefore, they are wearing the Cowboy uniforms. The third running back, Chet Mutrin, from 1947. The wide receivers are all 2022 folks: Justin Jefferson, C.D. Lamb, and Amari Cooper. The tight ends, Mel Kuttner and Tilly Voss. And then the kickers, Chester Markle, the Packer, and Pete Henry is the backup kicker / punter. And their defense is made of 1972 Washington Redskins and 1922 Milwaukee Badger. Okay, the Milwaukee Badgers are represented. So, a little bit of how the league works. So that's how the draft went. So again, with the North Dallas Bulls, their number one quarterback taken was Jeff George from the 1997 season. Otto Graham is number 2 from the 1947 season, and Dan Marino, number 3 from the 1997 season. Now, if it was careers, clearly Jeff George would be 3rd if drafted at all. Dan Marino and Otto Graham, both clearly Hall of Famers, way better than Jeff George over a career. But in 1997, Jeff George put up some gaudy numbers, and Dan Marino, who's 3rd on this list, 97, one of his worst seasons, although no season of Dan Marino was bad. And Otto Graham, of course, still good for most of his years, but when you're talking about fantasy football, 22 and 47 are going to have a big disadvantage, even 72 to an extent, because it's not a pass. The 97 and 2022 seasons, obviously a lot more passer friendly. In fact, across the whole league, out of 10 teams, only one has their number one quarterback from before 97, and that is the Seattle Lobos went with Fran Tarkenton as their number one quarterback. All right, so how this is going to work. So running backs, O.J. for instance, the Fury Warriors. O.J. Simpson is the number one running back. Steve Locke is 2. Wookie Roberts is 3. But you can set in Madden, first of all, there's some plays that go to the second running back. There's shared snaps, and then there is third down running back position, especially if you have a guy that's better. There's unnecessary roughness on Fritz Pollard, so he fumbles the opening kickoff, and now he commits a penalty. Fritz Pollard, a Hall of Fame player, but right now he's having some problems getting used to this era's football. Anyways, what I was saying is you're going to see O.J. Simpson get the majority of the carries, but all should be involved. All receivers should be involved. All tight ends should be involved. So you really have the problem when it comes to quarterbacks. And so what's going to happen in this league is the depth charts are going to change. So the next time you see the Fury Warriors in these New York Giant uniforms, they will go ahead and start Justin Herbert. And then in their third game, assuming we play at least 3, Patty Driscoll will get the start. So the quarterbacks will kind of have that game to themselves unless there's an injury. But you should see all receivers, running backs, and everybody else drafted, in play.
Ready. 53,
the running backs, we may go ahead and switch the depth charts just so, in game 1, O.J. Simpson's the primary, but the other guys still get carries. Maybe in week 2, Steve Locke will be the primary. But I think that will be more, so the quarterbacks will go in order 1, 2, 3. The running backs will go kind of roll of the dice after their first game. So the first game, of course, I wanted to feature the number 1 picks, which are O.J. Simpson and Mercury Morse, both from 72. Just so they get featured here as you get to know them. But in their second game, we'll roll, basically a 1, 2, or 3, and set the order that way. So, for instance, if I rolled a 2 next week for these North Dallas Bulls, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we get most of the carries. Chet Mutrin would turn into the number 2, and Mercury Morse would be all the way down to the third down back, or the number 3 back. There's a flag on the North Dallas Bulls. Jeff George could not get the ball snapped in time. That'll cost him 5 yards. Okay, so all that out of the way. Hopefully that, go back and listen to it. Maybe I'll mention it a little bit throughout the rest of the game, but that is what we're doing here. That is Eras football in a nutshell. And so now we'll just see some of these historical eras of football collide. you see there, what was kind of interesting there is since the Fury Warriors have the 72 Miami Dolphins, you saw a Miami Dolphin from 72 and Manny Fernandez tackling the Miami Dolphin running back from 72, Mercury Morris. So you'll see that kind of stuff too. You'll see anything from the same team in the same year tackling each other perhaps to competing. You know, you might have, one team might hit you with Steve Young from 97, but a different team will have Terrell Owens from 97, and they'll go against each other. But the most fun will be seeing different guys, such as a 1922 player, getting a carry and being tackled by a 2022 player. 100-year difference in years that they played, but they're on the same field at the same time here in Era's Fantasy Football. All right, so Steve Young, this is his game, of course. So he will not play outside of injuries for, the next 2 games of the Giants. He will be on the bench. So this is his chance to shine and show you what he can do. There's O.J. Simpson getting a first down. So I should also mention that because Madden rosters have to be what they are, we only drafted 3 running backs and 3 receivers, but you need 4 of each, or at least a fullback, if not a 4th running back. So we do have some players that were drafted, had nothing to do with their years, just basically had to do with us liking them, and we'll try to get them on the field as little as possible. But the 2 guys for the Giants, the Fury Warriors, are Herman Moore will be the 4th receiver, and Tyrone Wheatley will be the 4th running back. Hopefully you don't see him on the field very often, but you might see Herman Moore. You might see the 4th receiver more often, because sometimes they will go to shotgun 4 receiver sets. For the North Dallas Bulls, the 4th receiver, again, I told you he was a Cowboy fan, so even though a lot of the Dolphins are the main players, with both of his kind of extra choices, they are Cowboys, Bob Hayes and Walt Garrison, both from the 1972 team. So again, you shouldn't see him much. Walt Garrison may be out there blocking, but he probably shouldn't get too many carries. And Bob Hayes, of course, if they go to a 4 receiver set, will find his way onto the field. Though any of the extras are certainly, even if they did have great years, if they didn't get drafted, they have been rated lower to make sure they make less of an impact than our draft picks do. Steve Young now from the other side of the field fires, completes just enough for the first down. See Steve Young 5 of 7. Does have the touchdown pass, but also has the interception. Pijos' 2nd reception. So Steve Young, 1997, reaching back and firing to a man that played 50 years before him in the 47 season.
Hey, pick it up, defense. Let's go.
Steve Young from the shotgun again. Turn, fake the handoff to Wookie Roberts, fires and completes to Travis Kelce. So in the last 2 plays, Steve Young threw to a man that played 50 years before him. On the very next play, he throws to a man playing 25 years after his 97 season. The Fury Warriors are challenging the ruling on the field, and the refs are gonna look at this and say, here's a black screen. But also, while you're watching the black screen, they are watching Kelce land with his 2nd foot out of bounds. No catch. Travis Kelce fails to make the catch there.
60 Pittsburgh.
And we're back from that odd blackout. 7 minutes to go in the first half. Tied at 7. Play action pass here. Steve Young fires across the middle. That's complete to Davante Adams. And Davante Adams gets the ball down to the 13-yard line. Now this is play now, so unlike Sack to the Future or other things on this channel, I can't do any manipulation to how long the video takes. There's no, hitting X to get out of replays or anything like that. So we're at the mercy of EA Sports as far as how long the plays take, or how long the time in between plays take, and things like that. So I did have, lowered the quarter minutes so that this doesn't become a 2.5 hour video. So hopefully at 8 minutes we still get enough plays, though, to show off what these guys can do. There's Steve Young, 8 of 10. So he finds, is that Benton? No, it's Pihos. His third catch. So yeah, the draft obviously is, was completed. As far as Madden goes, this might be we'll see. We'll see. This might be a one-off thing. Even though, we can pick any 5 years and put them together. But it takes a long time making rosters, even when you're only making 10 teams. So I don't anticipate doing this again. Unfortunately, but we'll see. You never say never. We'll enjoy this one, though. We'll enjoy the inaugural season of Era's Fantasy Football. And, if it ends up just being a ton of fun, then, maybe they'll make an appearance back in mid. We'll see. Maybe throughout the year or throughout the showing of these teams, we will get some input from the guys that actually drafted the teams. If either one of them watch the game or join me on a podcast here for some of the future games, that would be sensational. This is the first game, so kind of short notice to everyone, including these two owners. So I don't expect anyone joining here right now. I can't.
All day, baby, let's go. Let's go. Here we go. 18 Gator. I got troops inside. We got 3. Get it. Watch 18. Hey, tight end right. Watch tight end. Okay, baby, I see you. Ready. 30 base. Got defense. Let's go, defense. Hit it. Watch twist. Go, cheetah. Run.
Okay, sorry about that. Trying to figure out how to share a link here, and that was not working. So there we go.
15, Lonnie.
Let's do one of those.
Hey, let's go. 5. Hey, Jet. Let's go, boys. Bring it up.
All right. So 4 minutes to go. Jeff George trying to get his North Dallas Bulls into position to tie the game or take the lead here.
Coming to you. Cross. Young Trip is here, baby. Young Trip is here.
All right, 2nd and 9. Coming up for the North Dallas Bulls.
They're running it. Ready.
So here is the clock all the way down to 2 seconds. They give it to Mercury Morse, who's been the offensive star for the North Dallas Bulls so far. And tackled by Dana Stubblefield from the 1997 49ers. Again, one half of the Fury Warriors defense. The other half is the 72 Dolphins. And now Jeff George from the shotgun completes and hits his tight end. That's only his second completion of the half. and both of them have gone to Mal Kutner. So the tight end from 1947 has all the receptions for the North Dallas Bulls so far.
Let's go. 10-2 soft. Let's see what you got.
And George comes up and fires on 4th down. They go for it and complete to C.D. Lamb.
Here we go.
C.D. Lamb's first catch of the game. First catch by anyone that played football after 1947 for the North Dallas Bulls.
Jet to the ball. Jet to the ball.
Minute and a half to go. George, pretty good production at first. Oh, we didn't talk about the offensive line. So offensive line, of course, we didn't draft them individually. But what happened is it was mostly dictated by the initial picks at the running back position. So, for instance, the North Dallas Bulls went with a couple Dolphins, the 72 versions of Mercury Morris, and the 97 Dolphins, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So their offensive line is mixed between the 72 Dolphins offensive line and the 1997 Dolphins offensive line. So a ton of Dolphins, especially on the game when Dan Marino gets to play. See a ton of Dolphins on this North Dallas Bulls team. There's Justin Jefferson making the grab, but not for much yardage. They're not quite, well, they might be. Who is their kicker again? Chester Marcol, probably not in field goal range yet, but getting close. They need just a couple of yards. Jeff George has to know that. He fires deep, though. He's going for the whole thing. See the ball wobbling a little bit. That's a couple times now. Steve Young had one over here. There might be some wind on that end of the stadium is what I'm guessing. So I think they're going to let Chester Marcol try this, but it might be outside of his range. They're not. They're going to play it safe and go for the punt, which is surprising because they played on 4th down. I mean, I know this is a longer 4th down, but they didn't care about turning the ball over there earlier, but they decide it's too much of a risk on 4th and long, so they do punt it. And now we'll see what the Fury Warriors, a.k.a. Giants, decide to do here. Up by 3, so that might influence them to go ahead and just kneel and get to the half. But they do have Steve Young and some weapons from all sorts of different eras. So let's see. Young is going to fire over the middle and complete. And that's number 21. I believe that's Cliff Branch from the 1972 Oakland Raiders. His second catch of the game, and that is their first time out. McClinton with the tackle. Again, the North Dallas Bulls have some players from the 72 Dolphins and also some players from the 1922 Milwaukee Badgers. So if it's someone you think you've heard of, then he's probably a 72 Redskin. If it's someone you know for sure you've never heard of, then it's probably a Milwaukee Badgers player, although Milwaukee Badgers did have Fritz Pollard, and hopefully you guys have heard of him. Steve Young firing downfield. It's going to be intercepted. That's the second time Steve Young gets picked off here in the first half, and so the Fury Warriors decide not to just kneel the ball and get into the locker room. They go for it, and it could have cost them because the North Dallas Bulls are already in field goal range. Jeff George, 4 of 8. Not exactly lighting it up, but don't get me wrong, for all you being like, how in the heck is Jeff George starting? You know what? I know that's what everyone's asking. So, in case you're unfamiliar, let's go ahead and let you see, give you an idea of this version of Jeff George that you guys can't believe is starting over Dan Marino and Otto Graham. Okay, so Jeff George. His career rating was 80, but in 1997, it was 91.2. And here's some of the stuff he did. He threw for 3,900 yards, 29 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions. Completed 55.7%. So again, not top tier completion percentage, but ton of yards, great touchdown to interception ratio. He also led the league in being sacked in 97, something he did more than once. So the fact that Jeff George is getting sacked, that just kind of plays in to what he did. Even in his good year, he had more than one good year, but 97, phenomenal year, and that's why he is the number 1 quarterback on this team. There's a handoff. Mercury Morris makes a cut and gets inside the 10, but he'll be dragged down there. But why did they do that with no timeouts? That's very silly. Do they have enough time to down it? It looks like it's just going to go into the locker room. Extremely odd coaching. That's what you get, though, when it's AI versus AI. Very strange. They just threw away a chance at 3 points. Didn't even take a chance of kicking the field goal. How do you do that? I don't understand. Steve Young gives them a gift, and the North Dallas Wolves just make a mockery of it. Don't get the 3 points. Yardage is basically even, 130 to 128. Points should be even, 10 to 10. But the North Dallas Wolves, just inexplicable coaching there. And now Steve Young is going to hit Cliff Branch up near mid. No, he's out of bounds. Cliff Branch did not get his foot down. So we've seen Kelsey and Branch now both struggle on keeping their feet in. Costing Steve Young some stats there. Now Steve Young launches deep, and he's got Cliff Branch this time, and Cliff Branch is into the end zone for the touchdown. So after missing Branch on the sidelines with his second foot landing out of bounds, they come back over the middle of the field. Look at this ball by Steve Young. Branch has great separation, just blows past the defense and keeps on running. The speedster goes to the end zone, and the Fury Warriors take and make their lead bigger. Now it's 17-7. Extra point by Richie Cunningham is good. So he's made every one of his kicks so far. So that both halves start perfectly for the Fury Warriors. The opening kickoff, Fritz Pollard fumbled the kick return, and Steve Young and the Fury Warriors turn that into 7 points right away. Now the second half starts with, on the second play of the half, Steve Young going up top to Cliff Branch and him taking it to the house. So, all right. What can Jeff George do? It's not just Jeff George, of course. It's a bunch of offensive linemen from the different Dolphin teams, some Dolphin running backs, and then a bunch of 2022 receivers, including that man, Justin Jefferson. Gain of 6.
Ready? 60 outlaw. Coming this way. Here we go. Ready?
All right, there is the handoff. Mercury Morris gets ripped down by his face mask. Ken Norton from the 49ers of 1997 just tries to rip the head off of Mercury Morris. But that will give the North Dallas Bulls a first down.
Let's go. 50, plant.
All right, Jeff George under center this time, 1st and 10, just across midfield. He's going to fake it and look deep. Jeff George trying to answer what Steve Young did, but it's knocked away. Nice play on the back end by number 36. I believe that's Merton Hanks of the 49ers. Again, from 1997. George looking deep. Jefferson trying to make a great play. Nice job by Hanks. I don't think he would have came down inbounds anyways. But there are some good receivers. Of course, all the receivers for the Cowboys are from 2022. So they get the gloves and everything. There is a completion to Amari Cooper. I think that's the first time we've shown him. Amari Cooper comes up with a nice catch. Jeff George starting to heat up, put some yards together.
Down. 18 Gator.
Cowboys started off running a little bit more than passing, but they have been pass heavy lately. But here's a run, pitch out. Is that Mercury again? That's Mercury Morris. Makes one man miss. 9 carries, 83 yards, still averaging over 9 yards a carry. And Dana Stubblefield, another tackle. So the 49ers have been all over the field. Of course, the 72 Dolphins also make up half of the defense, but it seems like the 49ers players have been showing up more often lately for the Fury Warriors. There's a shotgun handoff and not fooled at all. That's Chris Dolman on the play and brings up a 3rd and 11. All right, 3rd and 11. Jeff George probably in field goal range. They passed on a field goal opportunity at the end of the first half. Jeff George would like to make it more, though. Instead, he gets sacked again. Jeff George, even in this year of 97, he still led the league in getting sacked. And he gets sacked right there. You see the sacks are 3-0 in favor of the Fury Warriors. Jeff George. Sensational arm. Up, very inconsistent. Some great years, some horrible years. But in almost all the years, the knock is held onto the ball way too long. But there you see Chester Markle. I said before that he might be outside of his range, but he proves everyone wrong there. He goes over 50 yards and buries it. Great kick by Chester. And the Cowboys get it down to a one-score game, 17-10. Now, on the offline, I guess you'll say, these teams that were drafted are in a fantasy football contest as well. Again, it is real, it's historical in the fantasy draft section. This, of course, is, we don't know what's going to happen. It's Madden. But historically, right now, we have the Fury Warriors are certainly under the North Dallas Bulls. The North Dallas Bulls are currently, I think, in 2nd place. And the Fury Warriors are down at 8th, I believe. So it's early in the year. I think we're only in September something. So a lot of games still to go for the season. I'm not going to try to explain how that works. But here, the Fury Warriors are beating the North Dallas Bulls 17-10. There's O.J. Simpson. He's not been as electrifying as Mercury Morris so far, but the Giants are winning, so that's all that really matters.
60 Pittsburgh.
Okay, now Steve Young will go back into the shotgun with backs on either side. And the give is to Wookie. And Wookie Roberts on his 4th carry. Gets it down to a 3rd and 2. Sometimes you're going to see that. If you think Wookie Roberts looks very small and thin, he does. He was. And you're going to see that, with some, especially when you see like a 1922 player up against, standing next to either a 97 or 2022 lineman or something. They very often could get out double weighted, I guess I'd say. As typically you'll find some of these guys from the 22 and 47 eras under 170 pounds. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Break. 53, Mike. Man out. Check. Shoot. Run.
There's a handoff to Wookie Roberts again. So Wookie Roberts, again, besides just looking, small, we realize that in 1922, you might be thinking, I never saw this guy play. He, of course, was from the Canton Bulldogs. Oh! They tried to hit Devontae Adams with a jumping catch, but nice defense on the back end. But yeah, Wookie Roberts, of course, one of the backs from the Canton Bulldogs of 1922, which were, of course, the champions that year, 1922 NFL champions.
Let's go.
And that is punted out of bounds. Not a very good kick, though, out at the 28. That's where the North Dallas Bulls will take over.
Here we go. Set. 30 base. Man, I got you. Set, go.
There is a handoff to Mercury Morris again. And he's hit this time behind the line. So he had the big explosive run in the first, on his first carry, and then much less since then. That tackle was by Rod Woodson. So his average is dropping, but he still has good total yards because of that huge carry early. Short drop here for Jeff George, and he's going to hold on to the ball too long again and be sacked by Stanfill. Bill Stanfill from the 72 Dolphins gets his second sack. And Jeff George just needs to get rid of the ball quicker. Was anyone open? Lots of coverage there by the Fury Warriors. And that's what caused them to hold on to the ball so long. But, okay, there you see it. We've played 3 quarters. The Giants, or the Fury Warriors, lead the North Dallas Bulls by 7. Fourth quarter. Let's see if the North Dallas Bulls can get some fourth quarter magic here from Jeff George and company. Jeff George does not get sacked, but the ball is knocked down. Dana Stubblefield just causing all kinds of problems. And it looks like the North Dallas Bulls are going to have to punt. Fury Warriors came in, intent to shut down these North Dallas Bulls. And they have done a good job so far. Here's a good punt, not much on the return. All right. Here we go. The Fury Warriors in giant uniforms trying to put the game away on this drive. What is Steve Young, O.J. Simpson, Steve Locke? We've actually seen more from the third back, Wookie Roberts, than we have from Steve Locke. But they're going to give it to O.J. Simpson. He's got nowhere to go. O.J. tackled, and I believe that was it Piriotti?
On the double. 53, check 53.
I believe it was a Milwaukee Badger, a 1922 Milwaukee Badger that made the tackle on that play. There's a handoff to O.J. Simpson again, and this time nowhere to go again. 9 carries, just 35 yards. So as far as fantasy football goes, if you don't do decimals, which we don't, then O.J. Simpson has only earned 3 points for the Fury Warriors so far.
On the ready. Let's go. Hey, we got Mike, number 53. Mike,
the big man would be Cliff Branch, as he has one of the 2 touchdowns and a good amount of yards. Steve Young fires over the middle and completes. Nice job by Young getting rid of the ball just before getting sacked, and it's Pete Pios. That's his 5th catch, and he's just over 30 yards, so he would be at 3 points as well. So 3 points from OJ, 3 points from Pios. Young starting to add up some points. Cliff Branch has a big number. And here's a quick throw to Cliff Branch trying to get a couple more yards. Oh, that's going to count as a run, as it was actually a lateral. Yeah, let's see if I can do it in the middle of this game. Vinny X Wolf, of course, the architect behind this whole idea. See if we can get into the party here.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
It's a game of 2. Brings up 3rd and 5.
I don't know why I'm not getting party invites. I don't see the party invites. I don't really understand why not. There's a flag on the play. Steve Young hits Cliff Branch downfield, but it's going to be holding from the offensive lineman, Jack Wiley. Of course, Jack Wiley, a member of the... Jack Wiley from the older era 1947 Pittsburgh Steelers. Steve Young dancing around, but he's going to end up getting sacked. That's Jimmy Duft from the Milwaukee Badgers. That's right, 1922 Milwaukee Badgers representing. Jim Duft. Now get this, 1922, I said how it was not rare to see really small guys. Well, this is not one of those. Jim Duft, of course, you might have saw he looked decent sized. He was 6'6", 250 pounds from New York, New York, but playing for the Milwaukee Badgers. First played with the Giants in 21, went to Milwaukee to play with the Badgers in 22, and he got that sack there, causing the punt, giving Jeff George another shot. George from the shotgun fires and completes near the sidelines. Oh, he did not hang on. Amari Cooper does not hang on to the ball, took a big hit on the sidelines and could not hang on. So that'll bring up 2nd and 10. Just under 4 minutes to go here. Vinny, I will definitely, I can send you a party invite after this game. However, I might not be on much longer.
Set, ready, 70, Indy.
Yikes.
Get it, go.
Yeah, well.
Ready, 50, come on, D.
Tight, watch left. Tight, watch left. 4 down.
Hit it.
Boom! Yeah, baby!
All right, so I did not announce in this game, but there was hopes of perhaps another league starting, multiplayer league here on Madden 20, but just got news that come April of this year, 2024, Madden 20 will no longer be available online, so that's not going to happen. So good thing we didn't make a big announcement or anything. For anyone watching that watches the show, Sack to the Future will still happen. I think I brought the opening game, and that's it so far, but I brought the opening game a little bit before, the rest of the league was ready, of course, just because those teams were ready. But I am still working on the 1972, rosters and everything, and still plan on bringing Sack to the Future 1972. But, of course, there is no hope for all those hoping that Sack to the Future gets back to its glory years where the four of us are all playing together again and things. That clearly will not happen on Madden 20. which means your only way to see the Washington Redskins historic teams is going to be by watching this channel only, I guess. Let's say Back to the Future, mostly simulated, but perhaps there will be a return of competitive Madden between some of us. If we go with Madden 24-25, maybe, I don't know, college football 25, we'll see. There's still keep it as hope, but you don't have to hope for Back to the Future. That's still a thing. We'll still bring that, and you know, we're still going to do this Eras football thing, at least for this iteration of it with these 5 years. It's a handoff to O.J. Simpson. He gets knocked down before getting the first down. Timeout called. And at 4th and 2, Fritz Pollard there. So he fumbled to start the game, which is the difference in the game, really. I mean, the Giants, or the Fury Warriors, still had to turn that into a touchdown, but they did. These rosters have been uploaded. Just called Eras Football, I believe. Maybe it's Eras Football 22. Just since we have 1922 and 2022. Maybe I may have called Eras Football 22. But the rosters, if anyone wants to download them, there's only the 10 teams. You know, the 10 teams that we drafted are represented by these Giants and these Cowboys. Then there's also the Buffalo Bills, the Chicago Bears, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals, and Green Bay Packers. So those are the 10 teams that are actually in the league. The rest of it is just other historical players. But as far as ratings go, all offensive players are rated, or all offensive skill players, I should say, are rated and everything. But as far as defensive players and offensive line, that has only been done for these two teams so far. The Giants and Cowboys. I believe the Bears and maybe the Falcons have had a lot of the defensive players rated, but the offensive line's not done yet. And we haven't gone through and made sure all the numbers are correct, because that's one thing with all these historical players. It was a roster that had a bunch of historical players already, and then so through trades and stuff to get them all on one team together. Some of the just straight up creation, like the Milwaukee Badgers of 1922, you know, I can make them whatever number they want, but then trading people over, like Steve Young coming from the 49ers to the Giants, you know, number changed, so I'd have to go back in and change them back to number 8. But yeah, definitely get the rosters now before, I don't know if rosters are no longer going to be available come April, or if that will be even sooner. But anyone else watching this, if you like historical football, there is a lot of good rosters. Madden 20 is probably the best for historical rosters. Definitely nothing after Madden 20 is anywhere near as good. Things before Madden 20, I don't know, I think Madden 16 had some good historical rosters as well. But Madden 20 has a lot. There is at least 12 good season-rated rosters out there. And there's this wonderful thing you can do. I recommend strongly the 1971 re-rate rosters from I Teach History as a starting point. I think there's also a 66 roster that's good if you want to go earlier, but the 71 re-rate is really nice. And then if you do that, there is, I hate that I forget the guy's name. It's Bubba something. The gamer ID tag is Bubba something, and he has draft classes from 72 all the way to 99, I believe. So get your downloads before this is no longer available, because there's some great rosters out there. You can literally load the 71 roster and play all the way to 99 without doing much work. All the draft classes are done for you. The ratings are well done. Tons of good stuff out there. And Jeff George fires it inside the 5-yard line, but it's knocked away at the last moment. Had he caught that and came down with it, I don't know if there'd be enough time to spike it or not. It would have been really close, but they would have had a 1st and goal, one play from like the 3-yard line. However, there's a chance that they wouldn't have been able to down it, so maybe it's good that he did drop it. But now we got to go end zone, Jeff George. You got to get rid of the ball out of your hand. He does get out of hand right before getting hit, and it's into double coverage and picked off. It is picked off by Jake Scott of the 72 Dolphins, and that will put an end to this one. The Fury Warriors hold off the North Dallas Bulls 17-10. So a little bit of retribution, I guess, as the North Dallas Bulls are kicking most of our butts in the real fantasy football tracking standings. But here in Madden version, they get upset, if you will, by the Fury Warriors. And Jeff George's not happy about it. But that's your big win from Steve Young. These guys will not meet each other next game, but in their respective games, whoever they play in their second game, the Fury Warriors will be led by Justin Herbert, whilst the North Dallas Bulls will be led by Otto Graham. But there you see the game of 5 different eras coming together for you. Look at that, Steve Young to Benton. That's the kind of fun that this league will provide. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you watch some of the other games coming up. The next game will involve the Chicago Bears, which is my team, or represented by the Bears, called the Bristol Renaissance. I believe they're playing the Buffalo... I'm not sure if they're playing the Buffalo Stampede or the Buffalo DeLoreans. If it's the Stampede... We have a lot of Buffalo Bills fans, so if it is the Stampede, they are actually Buffalo Bills uniform players. If it's the DeLoreans, they will be represented by Falcons, because, again, we can't have 3 different teams all as the Bills. But anyways, this is the inaugural game. Fury Warriors beat the North Dallas Bulls. We'll go over the stats because, again, it is a fantasy league, so let's just break down what would happen if this was our offline thing. So, Steve Young for the Fury Warriors, 13 of 19 for 184 yards. So that's, you get 1 point for every 25. There is no decimals. So that would have been, 4, 5, 6, 7 points there. 2 touchdowns. That's another 12, so 19 points. However, 2 interceptions is -4, so 15 points. And it doesn't say what he was sacked, but 15 points minus whatever he was sacked. Jeff George answers with just 5 points from the yards. No touchdowns, -2. So he's down to 3 points. Down to 3, so 15-3. Big win for Steve Young there. Running, Mercury Morris had 7 points from yardage and 6 from, so 13 points right there. O.J. Simpson with 4 points. He had 10 carries, 4 yards. Wookie Roberts, 8 carries, 24 yards. It's good enough for 2 points. And nobody else got anything. Receiving, Cliff Branch, 92 yards and a touchdown. That's good for 15 points. Devontae Adams of the Fury Warriors had 4. Mercury Morris adds 3 more points to his running stats. Mari Cooper, 3 points on 36 yards. Just Jefferson, 3 points. Mal Kutner, 3 points. P. Host, 3 points. Benton, 1 catch, 0 yards at 0, but he did have a touchdown, so 6 points for Benton. So Benton was actually the number 2 behind Cliff Branch for receiving. Defensive, let's see how many sacks there was. Wow, so Jeff George was sacked 5 times. So Jeff George was actually gotten a -2. And the Fury Warriors add 5 points defense from the sacks and a couple more from interceptions. North Dallas Bulls had a couple interceptions. Well, anyways, kicker. Cunningham and Markle both made one field goal. Markle's was over 50 though, so that's extra points. Anyways, that's just some stat rundown for you since it's a fantasy league. But hopefully you enjoyed it somewhat. I don't know if you hate it, say that too. But as long as there's not any hateful comments, then we will go ahead and continue bringing you some more teams. At least let you meet the 10 teams that were drafted, as this is only 2 of them. But thanks for watching, and have a good night.